All right. 3, 2. What's up, everybody?
Oh, hey, Tim, and I see you brought a friend too.
I did. Little Gojira.
Yes.
Hang out with us.
Gojira here as well.
Yes. Hey, everybody. This is Tim English from Real Hooligans and SceneStealers.com.
And I'm Dan Lybarger from the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, The Pitch, and eFilmCritic.com.
Cool.
And both members of the Kansas City Film Critics Circle, and this is our Roundup.
Yeah, let's do movie Roundup. That's right, Dan. We are members of the Kansas City Film Critics Circle. We've got 2 movies to talk about this week. Are you excited?
Oh, yeah. I mean, how could we not be excited about both Michelle Pfeiffer and Godzilla?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. God and a goddess. I mean, how can you go wrong there?
It really
we've got French Exit is one of our movies. This stars Michelle Pfeiffer and Lucas Hedges and Imogen Poots, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
a British Irish actress. She's really good.
She is. And then, yeah, like you said, we've also got Godzilla versus Kong, which is the long-awaited matchup of the 2 heavyweights. You know, I mean, they've made, I don't know how many movies about these 2 characters over the years, but they've had a nice little build-up towards this epic matchup. So
yeah, this is the first time they fought since 1963.
Cool. That's why I love you. I knew you were going to have all kinds of stats for me tonight. So
right. In 1963, Ishiro Honda, who was the director of the first Godzilla movie, directed a movie where the 2 of them fought. And there are slightly different versions. Now, there's a myth that says that Godzilla won the Japanese version and Kong won the American version.
Right.
That's not true. Kong wins both of them, but some of them are like, you'll notice American characters added or stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, that's cool, man. And you spoiled something I was going to talk about during our segment. So that's all right, Dan.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No, I'm teasing you. All right. Actually, let's get started with French Exit first. Okay. Like I said, it started Lucas Hedges, Michelle Pfeiffer. Who else is in this bad boy? Tracy Letts.
Yes,
the voice cameo.
Missing cat.
One of my favorite cameos ever. I thought the cat was great in this movie. We also have Valerie Mahaffey, I think is how you pronounce her name. Now, I've been a fan of this woman since back in the day when she was Joe's abandoned prom date on a show called Wings. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, no, there's some good people involved in this, but it's funny. I laughed my head off watching Michelle Pfeiffer demonstrate a similar, shall we say, behavior to Godzilla. She's just as caustic, and she breathes maybe a little more fire. And it's fun to watch her trash everyone else around her. But I wasn't sure the film had the overall emotional heft it needed to, shall we say, cross home plate.
Yeah, I agree with you. For me, it was it didn't work so much as a movie as well as it did in individual pieces. Like, I thought the actors were all great. I thought some of the characters were fun to watch and to watch them interact, but the whole thing never really came together for me. You know, and it was hard to really kind of get involved emotionally. Like you said, I totally agree with that. But I thought Michelle Pfeiffer was great. She plays she's a wealthy socialite who loses all her money, and her son moved to, her husband's been dead for a few years, and she and her son moved to France to just kind of spend, you know, to until they're out of money. And it's kind of a, you know, she learns to appreciate people. It's like watching Schitt's Creek, except everybody's kind of drunk and morose. You know what I mean? Yeah, it was, you know, it's like I said, it was better for the pieces than the full.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny. If you were to chop it up into little YouTube videos, I think you'd get a better product.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, we do have some of the things our peers have said about it that we need to share.
Cool. What do you got for me?
Simony Wilson of the Courier Tribune and the Gladstone Dispatch says Michelle Pfeiffer from Dangerous Liaisons and Hairspray plays an anti-Mame style aging New York socialite in French Exit, only sadder and less likable. The story is slow and the overall comedic timing is off, but Pfeiffer is as watchable as ever, commanding every scene and all of our attention, even if we don't like her as perhaps we should. A French exit is a slang term for leaving an engagement or a situation without warning or without saying goodbye, which is probably how you will feel walking out of the theater. Now, our peer Russ Simmons had a take on this as well. He's with Fox 4 Screening Room. He said Michelle Pfeiffer's razor-sharp performance is the main attraction of French Exit, a movie that never quite achieved a consistent tone. I'm not sure that the filmmakers had a strong handle on what kind of movie they were making. So that's our take from our peers.
Yeah. I can't agree more.
Russ and Simony.
Right. I can't agree more. I mean, I think we both said it. It's the pizzas were fine. You know, she's great as always. I mean, she was amazing to watch in it. You know, it would have been a fun, like, one act play to just watch Michelle Pfeiffer as that character for 2 hours, you know, just kind of, you know, whipping around on stage or something. But as a movie, I mean, it was fine. You know, I sat at home, you know, with my peace and quiet and watched it, and it was fine, whatever. But all right, let's move on though, brother.
Because it comes so close to making it to home plate, it kind of feels a little bit like a downer when it doesn't achieve the full impact of its potential.
Yeah, the middle of it's better than the final act. All right, let's move on to the big event here.
Oh,
Godzilla versus King Kong versus Kong, because he's not king yet. But this one is directed by Adam Wingard and stars Alexander Skarsgård, Millie Bobby Brown, Rebecca Hall, Brian Tyree Henry, and a bunch of other people who were just kind of wedged and shoehorned in.
This is our only chance. We have to take it. We need Kong. The world needs him to stop what's coming. And this child, she's the only one he'll communicate with.
I knew that they had a bond. She had nowhere to go, so I made a promise to protect her. And I think that in some way, Kong did the same. Godzilla.
These are dangerous times.
Godzilla's out there and he's hurting people and we don't know why.
There's something provoking him that we're not seeing here.
I'm of the same opinion.
The myths are real. There was a war. And they're the last ones standing.
I keep reaching for greatness because I'm built from it.
Who bows to who?
Nobody gonna stop me. Here we go.
Kong bows to no one.
Here we go.
Yeah, but it's less about the people, right? And
Yeah.
more about the animals.
That I
Monsters.
loved about this film is the fact that for once you didn't have the creature fights buried in thunderstorms. It
Right.
seems every kaiju movies from the late aughts to now, it's like they always had to fight in the middle of a downpour, and it just felt like a ripoff. It was so nice to see Kong and Godzilla fighting where you could see them and take it in.
Even the one fight that took them below the depths of the water, it was still lit well enough for you to see who was who and what was going on, long enough to understand where they were in that part of the fight. But yeah, I mean, obviously, the people here, I think this movie suffers from the same problem that Godzilla King of the Monsters suffered from. And it's something that they don't get what the old Japanese movies did so well, and it's incorporating the human stories. And they're not just kind of like, there to react to the monsters. The plots for the characters always kind of mirrored, whatever is going on with the monsters in the movie. So, and here they're just flat and boring. I mean, really, the whole time I'm watching, I'm thinking, I don't care what these people are doing, like at all. Like Millie Bobby Brown, all those people, except for Brian Tyree Henry. He was amazing. He was the one character that I could have used more of. But
that's interesting you mentioned Mr. Henry, because Lanita Cook, who is with KCTV5 and BlackBeeBuzz.com, had this to say about him. She said, "I love the growing popularity of the black nerd character type. Brian Tyree Henry delivers it well. And though the story is a bit bungled as it comes together mainly because the two monsters are not treated as monsters, but as people in their decision-making, Godzilla vs. Kong is still the best battle on the screen."
Absolutely, Lo. That's right. Yeah, and for me, I grew up watching these movies. For me, it was cool to see those two duke it out again with the effects that are, and then there's, we won't spoil anything here, but there's another element that gets added to this whole battle that really just kind of brought out the kid in me all over again.
Oh, yes. The, shall we say, mystery guest, I got to see him in his first movie appearance back when I was like 7 or 8 years old.
Yeah, so it's very cool. So I think fans of this series, especially if you've gotten into these recent movies, that started with Godzilla 2014, Kong, Skull Island, Godzilla King of the Monsters, and now Godzilla versus Kong. I think you're going to be very happy with where this takes you, as long as you don't pay too much attention to what the people are saying, because they are here to just react to everything that's going on.
Well, and you just brought up something our peer Abby Olchese said. Abby happens to be the president of the Kansas City Film Critics Circle, and she writes for Crooked Marquee and RogerEbert.com. So our president is big time. And she had this to say. She said that Godzilla vs. Kong is two separate movies, smashed together to create the feeling of one. It never coheres and is so overloaded with character and exposition that nothing connects either. And what's kind of funny, though, is when I read her review, I remembered that when I saw the 1963 King Kong versus Godzilla, I remember I was watching it for 34 minutes before King Kong showed up. And in her review, she was mentioning how she waited 40 minutes for the first fight. And I think that was really interesting because both of us were waiting for something to happen.
Sure.
And neither one of us saw it until, later. And that seemed to be a letdown for us. The one thing I would say that this version gets better than some of the previous ones is I love how it begins with Kong communicating with the deaf girl.
Oh, yeah, that was a good element too.
Yeah, this is really interesting. I don't know if you know this, but the reason they did sign language lessons with chimps and gorillas is they don't have the vocal cords we do. So that's why they used signs to communicate with them. And this, I think, gives it a little more emotional heft than what I saw in Godzilla King of the Monsters. because you have the bond between the little girl and Kong, I'm willing to spend a little more time, and I may be passing over what I probably should have been more critical of with the hollow centered Earth and stuff like that. I was thinking
there's a lot of stuff like towards the middle of this movie. You're just like, are they just making this up? They just ad-libbing plot as they go along, and they're just filling in the special effects around them.
Yeah, I mean, that's, that said, again, having seen King Kong versus Godzilla, I love Honda's movies, but this is not one of the good ones. Because for one thing, King Kong just looks like a guy in a generic monkey suit. There's a giant squid in that movie that's a blast. And it really looks like a giant squid squashing a village. But Kong was not as well realized. Whereas this Kong, even if you don't like CGIs, at least he has facial expressions.
Yeah. And both monsters look great. The end battle, especially that scene that takes them through Hong Kong. Like you talked about being able to see what's going on. This is so well lit in such a fun way. All the, you have the purple and the pink neon lines kind of clashing on the monsters. I mean, it's a lot of fun, and it's silly. It's goofy. It's, none of it's meant to be taken serious. And it's probably the perfect movie to kind of come out of this post-pandemic hole that we've all been living in. It's nothing you're going to have to think too seriously about. It's not very long. It comes in just under 2 hours. So,
because it's called IMAX auditorium, and it really, shall we say, it filled the room nicely. I also have another comment from our peer Russ Simmons. He offered a take on this, and he said, thanks to its childlike enthusiasm and special effects, Godzilla vs. Kong is a fun ride, even though the storyline and the dialogue are below par. He also adds that Skull Island is still the best of these movies that Legendary is producing.
Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely. I rewatched all of these leading up, and I think that one's the strongest from beginning to end. But, they've all been kind of fun. So I'm down for it. I'd love to see them explore Hollow Earth. I would imagine that's where a sequel might take us. It seems like there's a lot of fun that could be had down with that environment.
Wingard sort of has a local connection.
Oh, does he?
He directed a really good thriller called You're Next in Columbia, Missouri.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Yeah, I knew he directed that.
There were local.
Very cool. Well, there you go, man.
Yes.
Dan?
Adam Wingard, the director of Godzilla vs. Kong. So it's funny he went from this nano-budgeted thriller to something huge like Godzilla vs. Kong.
Yeah. Well, that's good. And it'll be interesting to see what he can do next now that he's gotten this notoriety. And I believe he's doing Thundercats next.
Well, the
Adam Wingard.
Year-old and my little brother will go bananas.
So yeah, that should be interesting. I mean, I'm always been waiting for the Thundercats movie since I was a kid. So I guess I don't have to wait much longer. So let's do it. Dan, it was wonderful being on with you this week, man.
Oh, it's great. I'm happy to represent.
Yeah, absolutely. We do this every couple of weeks. Follow us right here. Make sure you subscribe. Click the little button down below. You can, we'll let Dan talk about his outlets here in just a second because I know he has a lot going on. But you can read my stuff at scenestealers.com. You can listen to my podcast, Real Hooligans, on just about anything, anywhere you listen. Dan, you want to talk about what you've got coming up?
Oh, sure. I have a really fat issue of the Arkansas Democrat Gazette that comes out today, this Friday. I reviewed this new book about the making of Midnight Cowboy by Glenn Frankel. It's really good, and I hope you get a chance to read what I have to say about it, or better yet, read this. I also reviewed the movie Roe v. Wade, and we have another one of my peers who gave his take on Godzilla. And I also reviewed these Oscar-nominated short films that might help you do better on your Oscar pool when you have that coming up. And in the pitch, I talk about this locally shot movie called Order 86. It's a spy thriller that features a rather impressive collection of bad accents. You know which spies are foreign because they don't sound like Midwesterners, but they don't sound like the genuine article either. So those are what you have to look forward to.
Dan, you've always got so much going on. It's always so much fun to talk to you, buddy.
Hey, it's great checking up with you again. Sometime we need to have a play date with your Godzilla.
Yeah, absolutely we do, man. It'll be nice when we can finally see each other in the theater. Thanks for watching our show this week, everybody. Follow us right here. Subscribe so you get updates when we post again.
We do promise you don't want to miss it, and you want to subscribe.
Subscribe right now, and then go see Godzilla versus Kong.
And remember,
long live the king.
Long live the king. And remember, history shows again and again how nature points out the folly of men.
Dan Lybarger. See you guys.
Bye.
That victory belongs to me!